Offshore of Africa you can find the meager island Fuerteventura. In nice weather and in the warm light of the sun, the white-jagged coast of this volcano island looks fascinating beautiful. Turquoise waves roll to the rocky coast and end up in bubbling white spray. But the idyll, like here in the small fishing village at Jui, where it is nice to stay with a glass of beer or wine, is deceptive. Already in 1984, the stormy sea at this coast was the doom of the container ship Yukar. It stranded at its last official trip in Aguas Verdes, where its cargo was quickly ransacked before it decayed unnoticed for 16 years. In 2000 it was dismantled at the expense of the European community and removed on trucks. They left scarcely anything behind. Only a few miles in a southward direction, in a deserted region of Fuerteventura, another ship came to its end. In a stormy winter night in January 1994, 10 years after the Yukar, the American Star broke away from her Ukrainian tugboat at a wind force up to 12. She drifted to the Playa de Garcey, where her remains are still visible. Unlike the Yukar, the American Star is a celebrity among the ships. In February 2007 we traveled to the Playa de Garcey.
We are now here at the bay where the American Star grounded 13 years ago. Searching breakers, the permanent changement between low and high tide, and many winter storms have dismantled most of the old girl, as she is called by her fans lovingly. Only a quarter of the original hull can be seen nowadays, and it still defies impressively all the natural decaying force. This ship, with its changeable life of almost 70 years in war and peacetime, is the most famous wreck one can visit above the waterline. In 1938 her keel was laid according to the plans of the famous shipbuilder William Francis Gibbs, and already 1 year later she has been launched. She was christened at the hand of Eleanor Roosevelt SS America. 30,000 spectators took part. She was the biggest American passenger ship and reflected the atmosphere of emergence from the death of the Great Depression for her namesake nation. 200 meters long, 28 meters wide, 22 knots fast for more than 1,000 passengers.
Designed by Americans, constructed by skilled American labor from materials provided by virtually every state in the Union, decorated and furnished by leading American artists and craftsmen, the America could scarcely be a more all-American ship.
Using this slogan, the United States Lines promoted her flagship, but she was used for advertising purpose as well, which can be seen at the ads of Goodyear and Mobil Oil. In summer 1940 she started her maiden trip to Puerto Rico with a colorful painting to proclaim boldly her neutrality. Ronald Reagan was one of the passengers, and he was so fascinated that he asked for blueprints. After the trip he built a grandiose model of her, but her career as luxury liner took only a short time. Dark times of war began, and during one of her cruises in 1941 she received the conscription order and was drafted for military service. It was not so surprising, since the United States Maritime Commission had subsidized her construction and certain military measures had been inconspicuously incorporated into her design, as fortification on deck, preparation for the assembly of weapons, and a lot more. She has been rebuilt and renamed as USS West Point. The elegant dining room was used as staff canteen, where the soldiers took their meals uprightly. Called the Grey Ghost, she sailed around the world to fulfill various missions, as evacuation of civil population, troop transports, supply vessels. Although she had enemy contact, no one died in it. In 1946, after the end of war, she was decommissioned and revived her service as SS America. Celebrities of economy and culture promoted the regular passenger service between USA and Europe. The interior, as shown in the duck suite, represented the modern American design. The gala dinners left nothing to be desired. Different from our simple picnic on the beach, the passengers got caviar, oysters, stuffed turkey and fruits from various regions of the world. A little bit puzzled we read Cynthia's postcard, "Nice ship, not so good food." The The SS America was a regular guest in Bremerhaven, and fans could buy postcards at the Columbuskaje. After 288 Atlantic crossings, she discontinued her service for the United States line as a fast steamboat, because the number of passengers decreased due to the increasing air traffic, and additional trade disputes ended up in a ballooning deficit. She was sold and started a new career as SS Australis for crusaders and expatriates. In a new white gown with a big letter G on the blue funnels, she sailed for the ocean carrier Chandris from Europe to New Zealand and Australia. It was called the Australian Maiden. Until 1978. This year she got back her name SS America for a short time. But the owners failed in the organization of cruisings, and after 2 piteous attempts she was sold by auction. Chandris purchased her at a much lower price than they gained when they sold her. She was named SS Italus and undertook some unprofitable cruisings in the Mediterranean Sea before she anchored for 15 years in the port of Eleusis. In these years she was sold, named SS Noga and SS Alphados, and the changing owners could not decide between shipbreaking and the resumption of the service. In 1992 the future for the ship once again appeared bright after a changeful history. A new career was planned as a Thai luxury floating hotel, glamorous named American Star. But things went wrong, and with her transfer to Thailand, her sad end began. On New Year's Eve in 1993 she started her last sailing from the Greece port Eleusis, towed by the Ukrainian tugboat Neftega 67. Soon they reached Gibraltar. Near the Canary Islands the ship sailed into a heavy thunderstorm on the 15th of January 94. At wind force up to 12 the tow line snapped and the American Star stranded on the 18th of January at the Playa de Garcey. While the bow was fixed in the rocky bedrock, the stern was afloat. She had no chance against the torrential surge at her alongside. The pressure was too enormous. Within 48 hours her back was broken. The weak point was situated at a staircase and lift area. It took a short time and the pillaging by the islanders started. At the first glance the American Star looked quite rotten, but inside her all-American decor was largely left intact.
It sounds unbelievable, but this ship housed probably the world's largest collection of pre-war American modern art and decor, and a lot of the equipment is still well preserved on the American Star. Plundered parts are used to fit out the Café Naufragio in Puerto del Rosario. Numerous parts disappear in the collector's cellars, and from time to time they reappear on eBay. Many parts are still today in a warehouse on the island. Whoever wants to enter the ship must daringly climb up a ladder, which becomes more and more complicated over the years. In front of the swimmers, the American Star rises gigantic high, and even tilted she remains still impressive. Sharp wreck parts and occasionally some hair jelly lurk for the divers underwater. On deck is little left to remind the beautiful times, but there seems to be music sounding from inside. The plundering of the ship was perfect. Empty rooms have been left and wait for the visitors. But with a little imagination we return aboard the Australis. We meet Dirk on the beach. He was already on, and in 2007 even over the ship, and he is a big fan of the American Star. The right guy for our day at the beach. We walk to a small bay, and even you are not a treasure hunter, the path to the bay is beautiful and worthwhile because it offers a beautiful view to the ship. After the islanders have plundered the ship, the sea is pillaging the remains and washes them to the coast for many years. In the small cove, the most relics are floated ashore. The bay is littered by planks, all kinds of wreckage and undefinable scrap. A mysterious metal container remains for us unattainable. Some parts are puzzling. But anyone who looks closely can be in luck, like Dirk. He finds the Ace of Spades, a playing card which we assigned to the American Star due to the imprint Chicago. Actually, there are still readable instructions for the life jackets of the SS Italis from the smoking room, an indication that now the upper decks are flushed out systematically. But we have to examine exactly every part to decide whether it originates from the American Star or whether it is simple garbage. Every part is examined, photographed, filmed and discussed. After a detailed examination of the switch, we are quite sure of the origin. It is a part of the ship. But not everything is going perfect. Oh, someone is crossing the scenery again. But stop! This is not a normal toilet seat. Soft padded, with the imprint made in USA, it lies on the beach for years and no collector wants to carry it home. But you can find even less manageable parts on the beach. This plank with a porthole is very decorative. Minor mishaps during the construction of the set must be accepted. We struggle against the wind and the cussedness of things. Finally, the result has turned out well. We can hardly believe it, but later we find a suitable piece of the porthole. Our activities do not pass unnoticed for a long time. Tourists see us and want also a nice picture with the plank and the ship, and they want a more beautiful picture with the plank, the ship and themselves. We arranged the service with pleasure. There is scarcely anybody who is not impressed with the wreck. On the beach one can watch it struggle against the sea, and again one must take pictures from various perspectives. Colorful kites and spinning socks remind of the fun of the passengers on board. It is hard to leave her. Even in Coralejo they got one's inspiration from the American Star for an amusement park. The American Star is never alone, she is constantly monitored. Now in February there are only a few tourists, but in the summer a veritable camp is built up on the beach. We meet a Canarian television team using this impressive setting for a feature film. Island journalists report recurrently about the wreck. Jeep and quad safaris come here regularly. We also discover traces of other human observers. The American Star lies near a military area and the soldiers of the Fuerza de Armada leave here in the maneuvers on the shore remains of a beach picnic with squid from the can. The most vivacious observers, which inspect every visitor extensively, are the skip monks, running bustling back and forth, begging for tasty feed. Quite different live the crabs, which take a contemplative sunbath on the rocks with a view of the wreck. One observer, however, stares spellboundly year and day to the wreck and will also stare to it when it finally will disappear. The stony face that knows the entire history and will never tell it to anybody. The stony face saw the stern when it tilted, collapsed and totally sank in 1996. In perfect weather you can see the remains underwater, and all rumors about the missing stern of the American Star vanish. It is neither located at Lanzarote nor used as a Greek cafe in Crete. The front part remained preserved until 1997, apparently unchanged, but the underside of the hull was dismantled constantly. In 2005, the next phase of the rapid decay commenced. Sometimes the bay seems calm and you are not aware of the violence of the sea. But the sea works continually, as we can see on the next images. The surging breakers cause an increasing declination to the seaside. The superstructure shears away and sinks. A sad sight for the veterans of the USS West Point who meet annually. We discuss with Billy the idea to place a wreath at the American Star for the deceased veterans. Additionally, we received an urgent email of request to place a rose on the shore. We plan a helicopter flight to get a view from top of the American Star. As we do not know whether the flight will be possible, we first prepare everything for a later ceremony on the beach. But soon it is clear that the flight will take place, and we decide to drop the wreath and the rose from the helicopter onto the American Star. Christian Niehoff organizes the helicopter flight for us. He obtains all approvals and permits and saved our pain to fight with the Spanish bureaucracy. And soon we are picked up on time in El Cotillo in the north of the island, near the old lighthouse. An Austrian helicopter approaches, which once was used for rescue services. Hermann Steinbichler is sitting in the cockpit, ready to fly us to the wreck and to ensure that we can drop wreath and rose securely. After a short refueling, which can be managed without any gas station, we take off and fly to the wreck along the coast. After a short flight, she lies in front of us, the door is opened and the first overflight begins. The details indicate that the decline is increasing significantly. The rear section of the bow is just an empty steel hull. Large steel parts swing back and forth like textile flags. Nearly the whole superstructure has already vanished from the deck. The poles also seem to falter. Dirk is excited. His view through the bottom panel is impressive. Let's have a look at the white part on deck. Later we will understand why. Now it's time for the wreath.
In memory of the men of West Point who once sailed her into harm's way and have now gone to their eternal duty stations.
Jürgen succeeds to place the wreath on deck, and the rose as well. A last overflight, and we must leave her. Days later we return to the bay. A strange thing lies on the shore. We are surprised. The wreath lies almost intact on the beach, just the rivets are missing. We cannot leave it here in the sand, and soon we find a place on a rock which now serves as a memorial. Just after our return we received the Pointers pub the Gazette for the USS West Point veterans, where a double-sided report of our mission is published. At the same time we also get the newly released children's book The Last American Star, written by Elizabeth Fletcher. We all were not aware of the gravity of the situation. We took the last chance for such a mission. A few days later we see that now even the white part on deck and other parts around broke down and sunk. In March 2007 the spring storms are violent. Jürgen Brusch is witness how the American Star is at the mercy of the waves. The situation is dangerous. Only the birds seem unimpressed by the spectacle. Again and again the decaying force of the sea lifts and drops the ship. How much will remain after this storm? After the storm has gone, it is obvious. The storm dealt a death blow to the American star. The bow broke asunder, large parts at the rear are demolished, and the remains of the hull collapsed. The visitors stand aghastly on the shore. Now there is really not much left of her. Because of our report, the magazine Steamboat Bill publishes an obituary, since this is the end of the history of the proud SS America. This film is dedicated to the constructors who provided for her stability, to all the soldiers who accomplished their service, to the tourists on their way between the continents, to the emigrants on their start to a new world, to those who found their true love and to those who were born on board, and to the habitués of the wreck.